Ready to start your journey? Whether it's your first workout or you are a seasoned athlete, Endurance for Everyone Coaching wants to work with you. Our coaching team has worked with athletes from beginners to USAT national qualifiers and are comprised of experienced runners, cyclists, and triathletes who have a passion for healthy living and have been where you are. We offer comprehensive coaching programs from weekly support to basic consultation, all designed to help you achieve your goals. If you want to take your performance to the next level, look no further than Endurance for Everyone Coaching. Go to www.teamE4E.com and click on the coaching link or send an email to teamE4E@enduranceforeveryone.com. And let's get started.
Welcome to this week's Endurance for Everyone podcast.
Is for entertainment purposes only. Though the hosts of this show are certified Ironman coaches, their attempts at long-course triathlons and endurance events should not be taken as an endorsement for you to do something stupid too. You should make your own bad decisions, then podcast about it. Now, let's start the show.
So as we keep talking about old man and old woman noises, now we're recording and we have to stop.
Okay.
See, what I should do is just, we are recording, by the way. So what I should
I was just about to say something else. I'm glad you said that.
So what I should do is really, as soon as I call, just start recording.
No, don't do that.
because some of the best stuff happens that way. Even back with Rob and all them, it's like some of the best stuff has happened before we even hit the button.
Yeah.
So, how have you been this week?
I have been good, John. It's been a little busy.
Yeah?
I told you what I'm doing as a job. Have I ever told you that?
No.
I'm on my second career, kind of. I'm working on a flu vaccine efficacy study.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I spend most of my days doing like throat and nose swabs and blood draws on sick people. It's delightful.
Lovely. Yeah.
Yes.
Lovely. Especially nowadays with all that other stuff going on.
Oh, it's all anyone wants to ask about.
Yeah.
What about the coronavirus? How will I know if I have it?
Why did they name it after beer? I
wondered that too.
There's got to be a reason for that, right?
Well, the coronavirus has been around a really long time, right? In the Middle East, I don't think corona's over there, is it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't been in the Middle East since when? When the Desert Storm stopped? Well, since then.
Well, I'll have to Google it. What came first, the virus or the beer?
Or me being in the Middle East during Desert Storm. Maybe I'm patient zero.
Maybe.
See, I can't say that over the air, though. Now people are going to be showing up at my door.
I know.
They're going to fire me, too.
I mean, I've been because I can't help myself, I've been kind of running the stats in my head, whenever I see another update on the coronavirus. And quite frankly, I think, sadly, more people in the US will probably die from the good old influenza virus than they will the coronavirus.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Because they don't get vaccinated, or because it just changes so much, or why?
It changes. I mean, even on a good year, the flu vaccine is really only, 65, 70% effective. It's a lot more contagious, a lot more quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It takes like one cough or one something and you breathe that in and, you're more likely to get it. But there's another, I shouldn't make fun of the coronavirus, but the other reason is there are only a few states that can even test for the coronavirus right now. So
right, yeah.
Wouldn't really know if that's what people had or not.
Let me guess.
Yeah.
None of those are in the South, are they?
I'm thinking none of them are on the East Coast, particularly. I don't know where they are. I'm thinking they're probably where there are big ports of entry would be my guess. That would make sense.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah, because didn't like a ship just get called in, stopped at New Jersey or something like that for that?
Yeah. I actually saw just on CNN an hour or so ago, finally, a news story that wasn't sensationalizing it. And they were actually pointing out the fact that most of the people that get that virus will just think they have a bit of a cold, unless you're compromised in
Right.
some way, if you're
Right.
older or you've got some lung issues or, whatever it might be. It really wouldn't be any worse than just a cold. So let's hope that's how it turns out to be.
Well, yeah, and I heard that. I don't know if it was on CNN or what. I guess CNN's all fake news, though, right?
That's right.
I'm joking. Yeah, they said that they were saying that it's really the worst in the very old, or the people that have weakened systems already, or the very young. So what isn't that like everything?
It's like the flu for sure.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, and I get into that discussion every year with the flu, and because I know a few people that are so anti-vaccine thing, so I always get into that discussion with them. And I said, well, yeah, it might be 65-70%, work 65 to 75% of the time. But if someone said, if you give me $10 or you have a 75% chance of winning $1 million, you give me $10, wouldn't you?
Right.
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 Why wouldn't you do it? So.
Yep. I mean, this is the first year I've ever gotten a flu shot. I just figured it would be negligent to be seeking out people with the flu and not have had a flu shot.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, exactly. Well, we kind of have to do it where I work. They make you, so it's kind of it's not a requirement, but when I worked at a cancer center, you had to get it. There was no choice. Right. You had to get it. Where I'm at now, they offer it for free, so it's like it's not going to hurt you.
People are really funny too, because if we swab them and I do a blood draw and it turns out that they're positive for the flu, I give them a call in like 3 or 4 weeks and we do a follow-up blood draw.
Right. And
people feel so vindicated when you tell them that they actually had the flu. They're like, yes, I knew I was really sick.
Yeah, well, that is a weird thing. Now I will go back to like saying that well, you're a cancer survivor too, so you kind of know, but it is almost like for anything. You don't wish you had cancer and you don't wish you had some disease, but it's nice to hear that, okay, I'm not crazy.
Right.
Something is wrong.
Yeah.
And especially as a guy, because it's always like coming up, you're growing up, you're not supposed to get sick. You're supposed to tough it out. And something's not right. So you finally go to get seen and they say, yeah, you've got something going on there. And it's like, damn it, I knew it. Thank God. You're almost, you're so glad.
Yeah, and it kind of gives you a direction at that point, like you say, instead of just having this vague feeling that something's not right.
Yeah, now you know what to do about it, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, it's like, but even now, I mean, I don't know. I kind of hinted at it in the group that a few times that even though the training has been going really well with me and everything, there's like just this lack of willpower, I don't want to say willpower, motivation, because they never last anyway, but that's why I don't know if you saw it, but I asked about mojo. It's like, what does mojo mean to you? And it's like, there was a meaning behind that, me asking. An interesting first response I didn't expect, but
well, I did kind of read it, but I don't remember. What did people say?
Well, I mean, people are saying what I want to get around is like, everybody has something to overcome, right? It might be cancer, it might be weight, it might be children or unsupportive spouses, but we all have something to overcome. And I think, to me, when you start losing your mojo, it's when I talk about motivation or mojo, what I'm talking about is like that moment when your own personal issue or issues just become overwhelming and you just can't do it. So, I mean, all the planning and all the self-discipline and everything goes out the window. Some people are just better at it than others of fighting through that stuff. So, I mean, I was trying to see like what I was trying to get to, and I kind of just let it go because I felt it was going off the rail a little bit and not getting to where I wanted it to go. But what I was like asking for is, like I said, when you really get that point when people, that it does affect, when they get to that point, how do you get through that? How do you get through it personally, And, sometimes it's like, I was reading a book recently, actually, because I'm moving in a week's time, and I feel like I'm living in a warehouse right now because I'm surrounded by boxes. And I don't know if you've ever lived in a small 1-bedroom apartment like I do, but even when you're packing, there's nowhere to put the boxes once you pack the boxes. So I have these like little tunnels, And I joke when I was like, because as it was, I had my bike set up like in the corner of where the living room is. And there's like a little tunnel from the couch to where the TV is. But if you're on the bike, you don't have a direct line to the TV. So if I had anything on the TV that I'd put on just for background noise, I can't change the channel because I can't get the remote. It won't see it. So I'm like hanging off the bike to the left. Now you can tell I'm Italian because I'm moving my arms and demonstrating this over the podcast.
Everyone's well aware.
Trying to lean over to get it because, the show that I put on, of course, is going to end before my workout is.
Of course.
So, and I have no idea what
Mine always end right when I'm at like a tempo, if I'm doing intervals.
Yeah.
It's like everything's good and then it switches off right when I really need it the most.
Exactly. It never lasts. Or we used to get a lot, but at the beginning we used to get a lot that our podcast, if it didn't last an hour, people would get upset at us.
Yeah.
Because it didn't last the whole workout.
Hey, so how long do you have to live like this for? When are you actually moving?
My move date is next Saturday.
Oh, okay.
So not too much longer, but we'll see. It was a whole ordeal because where I'm moving is like, a friend of mine, bought a condo.
Uh-huh.
And, she lives alone and then so she, asked if I'd be interested in like renting out one of the bedrooms, just kind of coming in and renting it out. And I said, yeah, because it saves me money. But the original move date was in January, but she's having all the work done before she's not even in there yet.
Okay.
So the work, of course, as it goes with contractors, took longer than expected. So I had already put in my notice to vacate the apartment. So I had to go talk to them to get it extended for another month, which of course cost me money because now I'm month to month instead of on the lease. So, but everything but the kitchen is done now and we can work around the kitchen, as long as we have a microwave and things like that, you can kind of work around stuff like that.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty big change for you. You've lived on your own for quite a while, right?
Yes. And don't think that I haven't thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm not, believe it or not, Karen, I'm not the easiest person to live with.
Really? I wouldn't have thought that. Yeah. I thought they would have been just a walk in the park.
Yeah.
One of the toughest times Lloyd and I have had, we've been married just over 30 years now. We lived together for a while before that, right? So we've known each other a long time. But I used to travel a lot for work. And when I say a lot, I would be away at least 3 out of every 4 weeks, including weekends.
Right.
And when I stopped doing that, that was our roughest time. Like we had gotten so used to having that time apart and Lloyd had gotten used to having the house to himself. And, I'd gotten used to room service and hotels.
So he didn't come when you dinged the bell?
No, he couldn't. I didn't understand it, but no.
It's amazing. Yeah.
But I'm not exaggerating. It took us over a year, to kind of get back into some routine of just always being, in the same house together. So,
well, as someone that comes from that military background, I mean, I totally get that because the military has a very high divorce rate, and it's because in the Navy. Now, I wasn't, except for Desert Storm at the end, which I wasn't married during. At the beginning, we didn't have a war to deal with, but we still had our deployments. So we were gone for, my longest was 7.5 months.
Wow.
So when I was a newlywed, I got married when I was 19. So, and I dated her all through high school, so we knew each other, but when you're not, that's like an age, I think. Thinking as an older person now and thinking back on it, it's just an age where you're changing a lot. You're really starting to become an adult.
Yeah.
And to be gone all the time.
Yeah. And experiencing something like you were as well, which is, an extreme way to grow up.
Yeah. And it was just, when I got back, she had, we got pregnant. I won't say she, we got pregnant and, it was just, I hate the military, and I'm talking about my private stuff again, but here we go. I didn't like the military, even though I was there 10 years. And when I got back, and she was very much, she wanted a big family, she wanted all this, and I just got like, I can't stay in the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, but I knew that if we had more kids, I was staying in the Navy.
Yeah.
You know, and it scared the crap out of me as a 22, 23-year-old kid, you know. And
it's hard, I think, for anyone that age to be thinking about things so long term, right?
Well,
it's scary.
Yeah, and I think about it now. It's like, and like a lot of things in my life, Karen, is that, you know, if I had to do it over again, I would have handled it differently. Might have ended up the same, but I would have handled it differently. You know.
Yeah.
So,
well, hindsight's 2020.
yeah, the grass is not always greener, as they say. You know, and you know.
Yeah. The other thing that I, think a lot when I look back and think, oh, I wish I had done this, or I wish I'd done that. I just, you can't pick and choose life, right? You can't just pick the bad bits and think, oh, I would have done those differently and expect that all the good things that happen would still happen. I mean, it doesn't really work that way.
Right. Exactly. I mean, you changed the one bad thing. It could have actually been worse.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah.
So you never know.
Man, we're so cheery, aren't we?
We are. We started off last week like this too, didn't we?
We did.
Yeah.
Hey, so I want to go back to the Mojo thing, though.
Yeah.
So you raised that because you were looking for ideas on how to get through it, or you raised it
because I felt I felt lately that, I have all these races, and honestly, my training has been going really well. I'm still slow, but it's not like, it's not as. I said it to Rob on messaging right after the last show. I said it's not like it's hurting anymore. So it's good. It's like I don't hurt as much afterwards. Like for a while there, when I would get done with a ride or get done with, especially a ride or a run, I would just be in pain. It wasn't just a normal soreness. And he goes, yeah, it was a good hurt. And I said, yeah, a good hurt. I got to use that for the show because that's what it was. It was like, yeah, I'm sore, but it's a good sore. It feels good. But I just think with like the move and all this crap that's going on at work again and all this stuff is that you just, by the end of the day, I'm drained. And I know in my head, especially with swimming, and, I was talking, we had a Valentine's Day meet yesterday with the Masters group that I'm with, Masters team.
Oh, yeah. You posted something about that, right?
I didn't swim, but I go out to support and things like that. So they all did really well. And I just lost my train of thought.
So we're talking about how hard it is to go out when you're tired.
But just like I was talking to the woman I rode over with, Shelley, that you always feel good after a swim.
Yes.
After a run, you kind of feel beat up a little bit. Maybe the next day you're a little bit sore, and a ride maybe the same way. But after a swim, you always feel good.
Maybe you found your thing, which is weird because that's what you always thought caused you the most anxiety. Because, I always feel good after a run. Always.
Yeah, and I think, I do think that's different for different people. I think true runners do that. They feel good after a run.
Yeah. And even though like getting out the door sometimes, like yesterday, there's snow and ice everywhere. It's windy. It's freezing cold. And it's like, oh God, I've got to go out and do 10 miles. This is going to suck.
Yeah.
I just go do it. It's my training. Having a training plan really helps get me out the door.
Yes.
And I love to run, John, and I still feel like that. Like I'll convince myself to go out at least for a mile. And every time I play this mind game.
That used to work with me. It doesn't work anymore. And that's what I'm finding that's starting to happen more, is that I just don't feel like it. So I just don't do it.
Even with swimming?
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Even though I know I'm going to feel better afterwards, if it's been a long day and I'm working late and, swim starts at 6:30 and it's like 5:30 and I'm just leaving the office and I can get there easily, but I just don't. It's just like,
have you actually been missing it, or have you been going anyway?
Well, that's that. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I force myself out, and sometimes I don't. And I wasn't like looking for somebody to say, this is what you do. I'm interested in hearing like, how do you do it? And a lot of people say like what you did. You it's on a schedule. If I just go, I tell myself I'm going to go out for a mile. And usually if I do that, then I'm fine. I think part of it also is that I'm not, even though I'm with Team in Training, I'm not really being coached right now. So
Yeah.
there's really no accountability with me right now.
Yeah.
Which as a coach myself, I do check on people, and I'll say, okay, what's going on and things like that. And some people I worked with, some people not. I won't name names. They know who they are.
Yeah.
But
this is kind of making me think about, this might seem like a weird tangent, but it's making me think of the same conversations that I hear about people that have like cravings, like, oh God, I can only use willpower for so long, to avoid eating the potato chips, and eventually I eat them. And this feels kind of similar to me, this idea. I guess where I'm going with this is I think that we're always choosing, right? You're either choosing to go for the swim or you're choosing to go home.
Absolutely.
You're either choosing to eat the potato chips or you're choosing not to. And I think an interesting way to look at it is, I think that generally speaking, we pick the behavior that we keep repeating, the behaviors that we're getting something out of. Like there's something beneficial or something you get out of just going home as opposed to going swimming. Even though that's part of you that's like, well, it would be better for me if I went for the swim. Mm-hmm. For some reason, there's something that you get out of just going home.
I think it's just, I don't know, maybe, it's, and, I do have a degree in psychology, so I tend to have like this interest in figuring that stuff out.
Yeah, and as you know too, like I don't necessarily think it's always a big thing. Like if maybe the potato chip thing is a easier example. So for example, you're trying to lose weight, let's say, because this is such a common conversation. We hear it all the time. Mm-hmm. You're like, oh God, I've got this craving for potato chips. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, I don't want them. I don't want them. I don't want them. I'll distract myself. I'll use all my strategies. Eventually you eat them. I think there are a few paybacks to that. One is the immediate gratification of eating them, of course, but I don't think that's really it. I think the other thing is you get to just think about the potato chips. You don't have to think about what was going on. Why was I even thinking about potato chips? Was it something else? Yeah. And then on top of that, after you eat them, you get the payback of being able to then think about how pissed you are that you ate them. So you get to think about it for another few hours and not deal with whatever the other issue is that's going on or that was going on, when the craving came up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there is something to that. It's like after you've, dealt with that crap at work all day long, and it's just, wouldn't it be nice to just go sit on the couch and turn on some, brain dead documentary and just sit there? And not have to think about anything else, and watch McBillions or whatever is on Netflix right now.
And you also get to fall into this, see, I missed it again. Man, I suck.
Man, I suck. And I'm very good at that.
Reinforce that whole thing.
Yeah. I'm very good at the man, I suck thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wonder why I do such crap in the race. So yeah, there is something to that. It's just like we always seem to like work against our own best interest sometimes, at times.
And I think we do that because we're looking at the thing we're doing as somehow being negative. Whereas I think that whatever patterns we've gotten into because, like I say, there's some payback. Maybe it's the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You don't go for the swim, so therefore you can, oh, well, of course I'm not going to do well at the next race, or I shouldn't do the race, or whatever it might be. It's like we just fall into these weird patterns of behavior that I think often give us a really good way of letting ourselves off the hook for other things.
Yeah. And we had talked about that before. It's like on other shows too. I think I talked about it with Pete, that you get to maintain that title of fat, slow triathlete. Mm-hmm. You don't lose the title because that's your identity, or my identity personally. So, if you've, I've been doing this, almost 10 years now. So, and my identity is fat, slow triathlete or back of pack or, things like that. So if I'm not that anymore, what am I then?
Yeah.
And that's very deep, I know. So very deep for a Sunday night and when the Oscars are on, so.
Yeah. But the other thing to think about too, John, is to really think, as you go through the next week, what is actually different on the days when you do go to the swim meet as opposed to the days when you don't?
Easier day at work usually if I've had a good day at work. Like I went to a really good period when I don't think I talked much about my work, but where they had removed our whole department and put it under another department. And at that time, I was really struggling with the department I was in because the person that was the director and I just didn't get along. And I'd been there 5 years, and it was one of those things that they really didn't respect your knowledge. They kind of held you down. You know what I mean? They kind of said, yeah, we realize you can do all this other stuff, but we don't need that all stuff. Can you just create this PowerPoint? You know, now, you know, if you don't know my time, I'm a business analyst. Yeah. And my answer to that was always, what am I analyzing by putting numbers in a chart? I'm not analyzing anything. I'm creating, you know, an administrative assistant can do this. Like, you don't need to pay me what you're paying me to do this. But they didn't want the other. So when it was moved to this other department, and I got a new director, I'm trying to decide how much to go into it, but I got a call. I was on my way to swim practice, and swim practice, and it was his secretary, and she said he'd like to speak to you tomorrow. Can you come downtown? I was like, uh-oh, you know what's going on here? But he was like the nicest guy, and he sat me down. He said, just, you know, he said basically, he goes, I was talking to this other guy who I used to work with years ago, and he said, I was telling him what I needed, and he goes, well, do you know you have John Harris out there? He's really good at that stuff. And he goes, no, I never heard of John Harris, you know, which he told me later, it kind of puzzled him too, because he had meetings with my director and assistant director and about business and finance, and I wasn't in the meeting. You know, why would you have a meeting about this and not have the business and finance people there?
Yeah, you get a little logic.
Right. So so it gives you kind of a hint at what this was like, right? So he goes, you know, so he's asking me and then he goes, I was talking later. I had a meeting with another one of my people, and I was telling him too, and it happened to be one of my past bosses before I left for that department. And he goes, well, you know, you have John Harris out there. He goes, so that's 2 times I've heard your name in the same day. So he goes, okay, I'm going to talk to John Harris. So that's why he called me down there. And by the end of the meeting, he goes, okay, you're going to answer to me from now on. We're going to remove you from that. And you're going to answer to me, and this is what I want you to do. So it gave me the freedom again to kind of do what I wanted to do. Yeah. And my training got better. Everything got better, you know, because I just didn't feel stressed anymore.
Yeah, but that's when it's easy though, right? I mean, it's always easy to do all the right things when you're feeling good.
Right. And then like 3 months ago, he hires another person to come in because it was a lot of work, you know, and he's got a whole other department to run. And she was put ahead of me, you know, so I'm answering to her now, and here it comes again. The same stuff. So I'm having to reprove myself. And I actually you know, I'm too old for this. You know, so, you know, at some point I'm just going to go talk to him. And, you know, basically went in there and said, look, you know, this is how I'm feeling. This is the issue. And, you know, she said a few things, and she was right on a few things. So, I mean, I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong about something. But I said, look, I'm 56 years old. You're not going to change how I do things now. It's just not going to happen. You're not grooming me for leadership. I've been there. I already been there. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be an IS director. I've already been that. I was that for 10 years. Yeah. So if I wanted to do that, I would have been doing it by now. I'm 56. For God's sakes. What do you think I'm going to be in 10 years? Yeah. I'm not going to be here.
Retired.
Yeah. You know, could be dead in 10 years. So people hate it when I say that, by the way.
Well, who knows? You know, I think that this is sort of revolving back to the mojo question, you know, that you raised. I'm kind of seeing how this fits together, you know, because I think the other question to ask too is, you know, when you're, because I wasn't being facetious when I said that. I think it's always easy to go for a run or swim or eat well or do any of those things when life's good. You know, it's when it's starting to turn crappy that we tend to resort again back into these behaviors that for some reason, that's just what we do when things are crappy. You know, when it's crappy, oh, well, I'm tired. So now what I always do is I go home and I watch TV, or I go home and I do something else. And then I think it becomes about, how much do you really get out of going swimming? Not just that it feels good when you're done. Do you care that much about becoming a better swimmer than you are? Do you care about the social aspect? What is it? There's got to be more, that you get out of it that pushes you to go than just, I feel better when it's done.
Yeah. And I think that's why swimming itself was always, because even though it wasn't hurting as much, running still is a pain. I mean, it's not a place. I've always wanted to be able to be one of those people, kind of like you, I guess, that feels good when they go run. But when I go run, I hate it.
Not every run feels good, honestly.
Yeah, but
I always feel good after I go for a run. You know what I mean? Those are like different things.
Yeah. I always feel good after a swim, and I always feel good after a bike.
Yeah.
Running is just one of those things that, as we used to joke, is when you do it because you have to do it at the end of the triathlon to get back to the finish line. That's the only reason you do it. I did a race, what was it, 2-3 weeks ago, a duathlon. So it was the first real race of the season. And normally a duathlon is like a mile run or a half mile run, then the bike, and then a full 5K or 10K. Well, this one was like a 5K, a 10-mile bike, and then another 5K. That second 5K sucked.
Yeah.
It's like I was last on the first 5K. So it wasn't even, I knew I was going to be last, but.
Because you really do love to race, right? Like you're probably the only other person I know that enters as many races as I do.
Once I'm out there, I don't do near as much as I used to. When I first started this, I was like, it was almost every weekend.
Yeah.
Especially during the summer in Florida, it's like every weekend from St. Anthony's through probably October. There was a race every weekend. Or I very rarely had a week. Every once in a while, you have a weekend in between, but at least 2 or 3 a month.
Because I think like part of the training motivation too, like where I get less motivated is where I start to know, like I love racing. So if I know that I can finish a race, even if my training's not great, or even if I only run twice a week instead of, the 4 times on my schedule, I'm a lot less motivated to go out and do all of those runs. Like when I first wanted to do a 100-mile race, I knew I had to train my ass off to get there, right? And I didn't miss a single workout. Because there was that risk. Like I thought, my God, if I don't do all of this, either I won't finish the 100-mile race or it'll be really, really hard.
Yeah.
Get stuck. And I wonder if, like listening to you, I wonder too if you like to race like me, but you kind of have enough confidence now to know that you can get from the start to the end, even if you don't do everything. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's something to that as well. But it's my first coach used to always say that. She said, you should be trained to the point that you can go do a sprint triathlon without even training, without adding anything more.
But you could probably do it now, right? Like you could do one.
Yeah, I could.
Like what could you do right now if you just went out and did it?
I probably could not do, talking about all races, not just triathlons. I don't think I could do a half marathon right now.
Do you want to do a half marathon?
I want to be at that point, yes. Because, the eventual, there's an eventual, like I was saying, I have this eventual goal, so it's coming. But the most like the one I'm training for now is St. Anthony's, which is an Olympic. So there's going to be a 10K at the end of that one.
Yeah.
But I know right now I can swim the 0.9 miles and I can bike the 25. It's that 10K.
And that's why it's easy for you to miss a swim workout then, right? Because it doesn't really matter. Other than maybe the social aspect of it and the fact that, the whole weight thing and, that exercise is good for you and all of those kind of esoteric soft things. Yeah. But there's no immediate issue if you don't swim.
Yeah, there's probably something to that.
Yeah. And if you're tired, and pissed off and everything else, then, and it's easier not to go. I think that human nature is that we're kind of at rest as much as we possibly can be. I think it's like, just something about being human and then to kind of move is I don't think that's really easy for anyone when they're tired.
Yeah. And I think I do need, and we alluded to it earlier, but I think I do need somebody that's calling me out on it. If you know what I mean, like someone that's saying, no, you're going to go because I'm picking you up. Things like that, like the, well, it's like the race. Even though I love I love it once I get there.
Yeah.
But the act of getting up at 4:00 in the morning, because they're always so early, and having to drive, when that alarm goes off at 4, it's like, oh my God, do I really want to do this?
Yeah.
It's so easy to just like click and not do it. And it's not, even the money doesn't, because I pay for it so much in advance. It's like sunk cost anyway. I don't care. The money's gone. It does not even real. So
yeah, I'm like that as well. It never motivates me.
What really helped me this time was like I raced with a bunch of people from the team and training group. We're doing it, and Shelly had said at the training, the swim practice on Wednesday, she said, "Well, why don't I just pick you up?" So I had to get up because she was coming.
Yeah.
So there was no.
And, I mean, does she know how useful that is? Like, maybe, I know that you don't like asking people for much of anything, but I mean, if she understood that her doing that meant you got there when otherwise you wouldn't have gone, maybe she'd be happy to pick you up every time.
Yeah, maybe so. And now when I move, it'll be easier actually. Well, and even the woman I'm going to be roommating with, she's on the swim team.
Oh, great.
So, you know what I mean? So it's.
And then you get to feed off of her enthusiasm too. Like, I don't know, it's a little bit different, because Lloyd and I are married, but if he is really not motivated to do something, the best thing I can do is say to him, well, I'm going to go do it anyway. You can come with me or not. And he would hate the idea of me coming back, after having enjoyed this hike and he didn't go. So maybe that'll go on you with her. If she's going swimming, she'll come back all high and happy because she did this great thing.
Or worse, she'll say, or worse, it'll be, oh, good, I don't want to go either.
Yeah.
She'll feed off me.
Women tend to be, I shouldn't make this generalization, we tend to kind of be sticklers though. Like if we've, do you know what I mean? We don't tend to give ourselves as many breaks, I think, a lot of the time.
Yeah. But I used to be like that at the beginning. It's like, I never missed a workout. I mean, we can get Jennifer on here, who I trained with all the time in the beginning, and she would tell you, it's like, yeah, he was on it all the time. He would never miss a workout. But
I think again, maybe you really felt like they were essential. Like you're so new to it. You don't have any confidence in your ability, and you're like, well, I have to like increase my odds as much as I can, and every time I train, I increase the odds that I'll do better in the race. Yeah. Whereas the more you do them, the less one workout really matters.
Yeah. I used to, if you go back and listen to those old shows, one of my things I would hang my hat on was that I never had a DNF. Ever. Yeah. And it's almost like once I had that first one, it's almost like, oh, it's not so bad. It's not so bad. And it's almost like, and it did for a long time. I won't say it's like that now, but there was about a year or so that it really, I just didn't care. I would do the training when if I didn't go to training, it's all right. Who cares really, but there was a lot of other stuff going on at that point too. And, 3 years ago I was moving out and, living on my own for the first time in my life.
Yeah.
because
I think you're describing how probably a lot of people, even in the E4E group, but a lot of people generally don't want to really admit that they feel the way that you're kind of summarizing here. But I think a lot of us do. I think that we like to think that we're these type A people and we're onto everything and, and we're pissed off when we miss a workout and whatever it might be. But oftentimes I don't really think we are. If we were that pissed off, we wouldn't keep missing them,
Yeah, that's true. If it really bothered me that much, I wouldn't do it.
No, and I think that that's the flip side because I kind of think about this in a few different ways, but I'm this odd mixture of I can be really overconfident, like in my own mind, I'm like, yeah, of course I can run 100 miles. I've never run an ultra before, but I'm going to train for it and I'm going to do that 100 miles. So I've got that kind of inner sense of I can do anything I put my mind to. But then there's this other part of me that is really not a confident person at all,
Right. And that's me too. Yeah, that's me as well. And that's what
it's a weird thing, isn't it?
One of the things I had to tell my new boss was when I went in to talk to them is that I told them right up front, because I'm an open book. I said, I am not the most confident person in the world. I have a lot of self-confidence issues, a lot of body image issues, everything. But the one thing I've always felt confident was that I was intelligent and that I could do this work that I was doing. And I told her, I said, "You've made me feel not confident in my work, and I don't like it." And she goes, "Oh, I never wanted you to feel that way." I said, "But so we need to figure out how you're coming across to me that makes me feel like that." Because I've never felt like that. Even when I was having issues with bosses or other people, I know it's like, I know what I'm doing. You may not understand what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, because I get the sense from you with going back to the swimming thing a bit, because, I know that you talk about the anxiety that you have around it, and, that's why you wanted to do more swim training to try and get over that anxiety level. But I also hear in you, and it would seem from what you're doing, that you're also a really good swimmer, and you are.
I know I can do it.
It's weird how you can still have all that anxiety and yet have all the ability as well. Don't go hand in hand.
And I talked to the coach there a lot about it, and it's I think it goes back to this fear that, the cancer I had did damage in my throat, and there are times where I have this fear that I'm not going to be able to breathe. Yeah, and this and it's always there, even though I know I can physically do this.
Yes.
When I get surrounded by people, even if I've had days in the pool where I've come up and the person in the lane was doing flies next to me and a wave hits me direct in the mouth. I get a mouthful of water and it doesn't faze me. Right. But if that happens in a race, I panic.
Yeah. Yeah.
And because I have this inner fear that my throat is going to close up on me, which has never happened in a race.
Yeah.
I'm going to get one of those little, there's a name for it. I found it, and I can't remember it. There's a name for when I have this spasm and my throat closes up. It actually is a thing.
Has it happened during training?
It's never done it while I was training. It's always done it, and it comes out of the blue.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I didn't even do anything. All of a sudden I can't breathe.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's because I ate something and something tickled the back of my throat and it closes up. It's a very weird and very scary thing. It's happened to me in the middle of the night while I was sleeping.
So when you were on your way to go to swim practice, because, I've never been comfortable in the water, and no matter how good I got at swimming last year, I still would just have this anxiety about getting in the swimming pool. Like, do you feel that on the way to swim practice, or do you actually look forward to going?
I look forward to swim practice.
Okay.
I like swim practice.
Yeah.
I get 98% of the people there I get along with, and there's even a joke that this is John's lane, because it goes when you get in lanes at a master's group, it's by how fast you are. Well, I'm not in the slowest one, but I'm in the next to the slowest one. So
then if you don't have anxiety about it and you enjoy the people who are there and you like swimming, what stopped you going? Like, when you had a pissy day, like, wouldn't that be a good thing just to get you out of whatever that is?
You would think. I don't know I don't know what happens. It's just like some days I just
see. You need to pay more attention, John. Like, think about it more.
Yeah.
No, seriously though. Like, when you're having that sort of, I just don't want to go, kind of think about what else is going on that doesn't have anything to do with work or the swim practice.
Yeah.
It could be really interesting. It might have nothing to do with either of those two things.
Yeah, I need to start taking my little my field microphone around me and start talking while I'm driving.
Yeah. Because when we've done this with things before, like, I think that our subconscious is so weird. Like, I've done enough psychology stuff at school too, but also just from my own experiences, it's really interesting to me how quickly a car might go by and a song might be playing, right? And then before I've even had a second to think, it's taken me right back to some moment somewhere where I heard that song before. Oh, yeah. And then I something, and suddenly I'm feeling something, and suddenly I'm feeling like I want to go do something, and it's a split second.
Oh yeah, it's that with music, especially with me, because I love music, and anybody who knows me here, can tell you that I can spit out trivia like it's nothing.
Yeah,
because I come from it. I played in bands for years. And, it's just like music is a thing, and I do with music. I think Andrew Weaver was like that too.
Yeah,
because we could talk music and stuff. It's just there's certain pieces of music that just takes you back.
Yeah, and smells can do it
The
for me as
smells,
well.
I was going to say that too. And a smell, you just
Yeah.
get this one smell. Like I
And you know,
haven't been around my
it's
first, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
no, you go.
I'm
No,
sorry.
you
I
go.
haven't been around my first wife since, God, in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
I can still remember how she smelled
Yeah.
because she
Yeah.
used to wear this, and this will date me, but in high school, she used to wear this perfume, a kid perfume called Love's Baby Soft.
Uh-huh.
Do you remember that? Do you remember Love's
No, I
Baby?
don't remember.
It
No, I
might
don't
not have
think
been
that
where
made
you
it.
were.
Yeah, I don't think that made it to New Zealand.
Yeah, it was called Love's Baby Soft. And and my first memory of her that I thought she might like me was at a football game, and I was sitting, it was I was on the sideline, and I just happened to turn around and look in the stands, and she was sitting right there, right behind me where I was, and she was wearing a Love's Baby Soft t-shirt.
Hmm.
And that's like my first memory of her. And she
Yeah.
always wore Love's Baby Soft.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, I'll be walking somewhere, and I know it's not even around anymore, but something will smell like that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, there's Trudy.
And there's like some combination of things, and again, it doesn't have to be something, huge or particularly meaningful, but something on those days when we do the thing we know we should do, as opposed to the days when we don't. That's different.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And sometimes even just taking the time to stop and think what's going on breaks the cycle right there, and instantly then you just go and do the thing that you really do want to go do.
Right.
Sometimes I don't even think you have to answer the question. I think it's just acknowledging that something's happening that you're about to perhaps make a choice you don't really want to make.
Yeah,
and
that's a good
intentional.
point. Yeah, that's a good point.
Once you make it more intentional instead of just being on automatic pilot, even like I say, just asking the question, it just breaks you've got no excuse at that point, right? Because you realize that you have a clear choice to make now.
Right. Yeah. So I think this segues good into this. I have an ad to read.
Oh yeah.
I do. and you'll recognize it as soon as I start reading it. Okay.
Okay. Go.
We all have fears, from a fear of flying to a fear of success to a fear of losing that one true love. Fear invades every aspect of our lives. Enter the No Fear Project podcast and group. The No Fear Project is based on the concept of sharing. If we share our fears, share our stories, we can work together to overcome these real stories, along with the expert insights, and will shed light in the darkness of fear. Each month, they release new episodes, usually 3 or 4, that share real stories and call on experts to help put our fears in context. And in between these episode drops, there will have a short weekly No Fear episode that will get you motivated, focus on a subject that interests the community, or follows up on a previous show. Subscribe to the No Fear Project in your favorite podcast app. Remember, the way forward is together. The time to conquer is now. That's, of course, for Pete's and the No Fear Project podcast. Have you listened to that?
I have not. I listened to the first couple of episodes he put out, just talking about how it came to be, and I haven't had a chance to listen to the one since.
He's doing a great job. He really is. I even like how it's laid out. They're not, like mine will go an hour, but his are more usually they've been around 20, 30 minutes. So they're not very long. But yeah, he's doing it very professionally, unlike me. But I do recommend it. I do recommend it. He's a good guy, and he's been on the show a few times. So we're actually a producer on the show. I told him I was going to say that.
There you go.
Yeah, I put money into it. So but I'm not just a fan of the show. I'm also a client.
It's
right?
such a huge topic, isn't it?
It is. And I told him, God, it seems like a year ago now, when he first talked to me about it, that he was onto something there.
Yeah.
Because just when he opened up because he did it, if you guys haven't seen it, I mean, he opened up the Facebook group first, and just to put it out there, and he had 200, 300 people within a week.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was us, putting the word out, bringing people we knew in and stuff like that. But I think it's going to get bigger than he's expecting.
Yeah, which, is
which
probably
is a
also
fear thing too.
yes, exactly. Yeah, because, you're taking on a lot and it's a pretty deep topic for a lot of people. So there's a lot of baggage in there.
And it means something different, and he does expound on that. It means something different, kind of like Mojo. It means something different to everybody.
Yeah.
It can be as simple as, I have a fear of spiders, and I like that when he said that in the group right away. Some people went there, so I have a fear of sharks. I have a fear of spiders.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then other people like, yours truly will say, fear can be almost immobilizing sometimes because it's never rational. Fear,
Right.
fear is the body's, response to danger, and it might not be
Yes.
a rational danger, but it's dangerous to
exactly right.
you.
And I think that sort of circles back to what we've been talking about as well, and that these are, fear often is just an automatic response to sometimes you don't even know what. Suddenly you just get this feeling of anxiety and whatever it is, like you were saying with your throat, even though it's never even happened before.
Right. Right. And the joke I always, when I tell people that I do triathlons and they say, oh, I could never do a triathlon. I can't do the swim. Aren't you scared of the alligators?
The alligator.
And I would say, or the sharks. They would say, God, you do it off the beach. Aren't you scared of sharks? I said, yeah, there's been a lot of triathletes getting attacked by sharks lately. Say, when was the last one? Oh, never. It's never happened.
Yeah.
It's like, there was an alligator. I think I've told the story before, but a race, one of the last races I did with Jennifer in Crystal River, there was an alligator on the course. We saw it before the race started. It was just floating there, and the race still went. The race director, because I was one of the ones that went up to him and said, "Oh, there's an alligator out there," and he said, word for word, he'll move.
When I went out
he did.
When I went out to Leadville to do the Leadville 100, like I went out there a couple of weeks before just to get, it's all above 10,000 feet.
Yeah.
And every afternoon I was out there, there was this huge thunderstorm. And you have to go over something called Hope Pass, which is, I don't even know how high it is, but it's really high up. And there's always a thunderstorm. So, in the briefing before, they're like, well, if there's probably going to be a thunderstorm, the best thing to do is just crouch down low and just wait till it stops.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same with the alligator thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
So
not a lot of trail runners get hit by lightning. That's really not the issue.
It's right. Because, lightning is going to strike the tallest things. So that's why they're telling you to crouch down. But
right.
it was like in the old days, I don't know if they did in New Zealand, but in the old days, I can remember when I was in elementary school, and this was right after the Bay of Pigs and all that. So, in the 60s, but they would tell you, they would have the drills, and what they would tell you to do was get on your desk.
Uh-huh.
It's like, if there's a nuclear blast,
Oh,
is that really going to help us?
Yeah, they would tell you the same thing it was earthquakes in New Zealand because we have really big earthquakes. Get under your desk. And I remember even as a kid, I would be under there. I'm like, this flimsy desk is not
but what happens when the ground opens up underneath me? That disc is not going to help me.
No.
It's this false state sense of security they want you to have. It's like, put your tray tables up in a plane. Really? Why?
Right.
And what's it going to do?
Right.
If the plane crashes, I'm not going to die because the tray table's not up.
Right. When you think about it, though, it's sort of the way that we approach all fears, even though it's not really the root cause. It's a little bit like going back to swimming. You think, well, I'll become a better swimmer, and then this anxiety that I have will go away. Well, no, it really doesn't, because the two are not related.
Exactly right. And I try to explain that too, is that knowing how to swim and being a strong swimmer has nothing to do with my anxiety. I know I could swim. I have no problem with swimming. I can go out there by myself and swim a mile. It's the thrashing around me. It's the fear of being hit and not be able to breathe and something happening like that. That's my issue. Swimming all the laps in the pool is not going to do a damn thing for that.
No.
So, and even it's just a head thing. It's like, either I have to get, I don't know if it's almost something I don't know if I'll ever get rid of. I'll probably always have that. It's just learning how to control it,
Yeah. And I think that that's some of the stuff. I'm sure Pete will get into this too, and I think it's even come up in his Facebook group. That sometimes, again, the answer is not figuring out how to get rid of the fear. Sometimes it's just
dealing with it.
That fear will, it'll just always sit there. Stop fighting it, and just go swim anyway.
Well, right, it's a thing. Recognize the fear's there, and come up with some defense mechanisms against it. Like, okay, if this happens, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll on my back. I'm gonna go into a side stroke until it passes, which is what I do. But things like that. Stop worrying about the people around me.
It'll never go away.
Right.
If you want to swim, then you just have to accept that you're going to be, scared shitless
the whole time.
Yeah.
Thank God for the wetsuit, or it'll be embarrassing.
You could find another sport.
I did that for a while.
You did.
I did. I started trail running.
Yeah.
Because, I love running so much.
But something obviously draws you to really want to do a triathlon that's making you, want to kind of face up and deal with this and know that, again, it's that confidence, right, John? Like, that you can go and do that swim in a triathlon. And we're kind of being lighthearted about it. But, you know that you'll be terrified of that happening, but you really do want to go do it anyway.
Yeah, and I'm almost like I was drawn to those long trail runs, in the past few years. I'm almost being drawn now to these long swims. And that is a fear. And so I'm being drawn to something I'm most fearful of twice now, because I was always afraid of getting hurt running. So now, of course, I'm going to go run 100 miles. So now I'm like, I have all this anxiety about swimming. It's like, you know what? But wouldn't swimming at 10K be kind of fun? How long does it take? 4 hours in the water? That's fine. 4 hours swimming? That's fine.
I can't even get my head around it, honestly.
The one woman I rode with that I told you, Shelley, she does that all the time. She does long distance stuff like that. It's crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's like being in the water that long. Or even Karen and her went down and did they're not doing it this, they are. It's called Lighthouse, the Lighthouse swim. There's this old lighthouse, and they swim to the lighthouse and back, and it's like a relay. So one person's in a kayak and one person's in the water, and then every mile or so you swap out, and it's like a 6-7 mile swim.
Okay.
So it's kind of fun to me. That sounds fun to me, but
and there is something weirdly appealing. It's like, the old saying, if it was easy, you wouldn't want to do it. And I think there really is something to that. It's like we are looking for things that kind of push the boundaries.
I'm kind of opposite. If it's easy, I want to do it.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Go.
That swim wouldn't be easy. You probably think it would be, though, right? Like in a yeah.
So that's an hour of talking about that.
Well, you have some homework now, John C. Harris.
I do. So that'll be the next show, right? Now I don't know, because I will be moving next weekend. I don't know if I'll be able to record next weekend. So it might be
maybe this every 2 week pattern is not a bad idea.
It might not be the bad idea, because then I don't feel I'm like under the gun all the time. But so
and that gives you 2 weeks to analyze the days when you do actually go swimming and the days that you don't, and you can report back in 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then I come up with the idea an hour before the show.
There you go.
Because that's what I was doing frantically on the couch at about 5:00.
Well, don't use moving as an excuse to miss swimming.
Oh damn! You read through it. Well, I have to miss a Saturday, because that is the move day, so I will miss Saturday. But
so that's 1 in 2 weeks. That's okay.
Yeah. So okay. So before we sign off, thank you once again, Karen, for coming on. You might be the regular. You know that, though, right?
I'm happy to be the regular conversation starter. That's fine.
So I think you're quite popular.
Did you get some good feedback?
I always
to hear from you.
Well, yeah, Rob. I don't get a lot of feedback like on Facebook or anything like that, but a lot of people will text me and say, "Oh, I heard the show." Rob did immediately.
Oh, good.
He said, "Yeah, he really liked it. He was happy." And I appreciated his words. He said he was happy. He said, "You sound like you're back in a good place." So I said, okay, good.
People just wanted to hear from you.
Yeah, and you were right. You're right. Yeah, but I think they enjoy your accent too. So
no, No, but seriously, I do. I know that personally, I really like hearing from you and just getting updates, and I know that a lot of other people feel the same way. So we'll try and keep it moving along. Huh?
Well, there's a lot of races coming up, so even before it's St. Anthony's. So we have the Skyway coming up on March 1st, which is. Have you ever been in St. Pete, this area?
No. Mm-mm.
We have a Skyway Bridge, which is a huge, tall bridge, and 3 years ago, they started this race to the top. It's a 10K, so you run to the top of the Skyway Bridge. I've always been in the lottery for it. It sells out in minutes. And this is the first year I got in, so I had to go. I had to pay for it.
Lucky
I
you.
just throw my name in it, and I got the notice when I was at Runner's World.
Ha!
I said,
when is this?
This is March 1st.
Oh, well, we should definitely talk about that next time.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that after, because it'll be right around the time, right? So,
yeah.
And I got Gasparilla, but that's a 5K, so that's not a big deal. A couple, just things. I got a 100-mile bike ride coming up in March 7th.
Oh, wow, that's huge. Let's talk about all of this next time.
So there's things coming. So.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, find us on Facebook, teamE4E, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media. Join the Facebook group. We'll let you in as long as you're nicer than me. And until next time, Karen, thanks again.
Yeah, you're welcome. Talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the Endurance for Everyone podcast. If you have comments or questions for the show, send an email to teamE4E@enduranceforeveryone.com. And remember, swim calm, bike strong, and run steady.
All designed to help you achieve your goals. If you want to take your performance to the next level, look no further than Endurance for Everyone Coaching. Go to www.teamE4E.com and click on the coaching link, or send an email to teamE4E@enduranceforeveryone.com. And let's get started.